All right, guys, welcome to the Cover 2 course. This course, I'm going to cover a lot of things about Cover 2. And over the years, I've developed a newfound respect for Cover 2. I used to look at Cover 2 as a conservative, passive, um, a coverage that wasn't very interesting to me. I didn't think that it was very effective. But upon playing it a lot more lately and noticing that the number of different things you can do with cover two, I've developed a newfound respect for it. All right. And this course will be able to stand the test of time. So if you are in Madden 28, 29, I don't know what year it is that you're watching this video, the concepts of this course will be able to be used in any Madden. All right. And my idea for this course is to show you how to play cover two in a way that is different from how you would look at it from the outside looking in. Usually, someone in cover two, I'm pretty sure most people, when they play cover two, they user the middle read player or the second defender in. All right. But I'm going to show you why I believe you can make the coverage play so much better in Madden by using the safety and the corner. All right. So first and foremost, I'll go ahead and show you this play here. All right. If I were to ask you for the weaknesses of cover two and where people like to attack it, all right, I know a lot of people would say, well, the honey hole shot where cover two can be exploited. And I used to believe the same thing. All right. But when you actually look at cover two and if everyone does their job appropriately, that's not really the case. I know I'm probably, um, a lot of people probably don't agree with me on this, but we're going to take a look at this play here. All right. So this is one reason why cover two is great used against standard opponents online. And the reason why is because they do not run structured concepts. They don't run passing concepts. They don't understand passing concepts, or they run routes that don't complement one another. All right. So my opponent's going to run a concept like this. Now, looking at this play, okay, where would cover two have an issue? Okay. And most people would say over here, right? Honey hole shot. He's running up the sideline, and that's where cover two is weak. Okay. However, in cover two, all right, the cloud flat corner, he's not going to do it in this play, but what he wants to do is he wants to reroute this player to the inside. So I'm going to draw a line, say he does get rerouted, and he tries to go up the field on his route. Okay. As a safety in cover two, you're reading your unit on this side of the field. The reason why it's a split safety structure defense. Okay. So in a split safety structure defense, this side of the defense is completely independent of this side of the defense. So this safety here does not have to worry about what's going on over here. Okay. So as a safety, you're just reading the unit over here, 1 and 2. Okay. And at this point in the route distribution, this guy runs up the field and he goes on his drag. At this point, he's declared that he's not going up the field. So in a situation like that, okay, we can immediately widen very hard and close this honey hole window completely unafraid of leaving the seam open for someone to attack up the field. And the reason why is because, again, the number two has declared that he's not going up the field. Okay. In a normal situation, if this guy was going up the field, all right, widen and get depth, you may midpoint it, okay, where it's 50, 50. You may lean a little bit more inside where you're playing 60-40. Okay. So I hope you know what I mean by that, where you're favoring one side over the other. Okay. But the point is, when both routes are going up the field and you're the safety, all right, well, you can't allow a route to get behind you. You're the umbrella of the coverage. Okay. But in a situation like this, where this guy has declared that he's not going up the field, all right, well, now you're not playing 50-50. The reason why you shouldn't do that is because there is nothing attacking the seam at all. Now you can really play 30-70, maybe 20-80, where you're leaning hard towards the number one because he's the only one who's up the field. You almost convert into man to man coverage on the number one. All right. So in this route combination, he actually gets an outside release here, which is not good. You want the corner to reroute him inside to play to his help or to help out the safety. Okay, but that's not a big deal because I'm just going to run on a horizontal plane and play the upfield shoulder of this receiver. Okay, narrowing the honey hole shot here. All right, now usually the computer would lean a little bit to the outside, but again, as the user, you can always play coverage better than the AI. So when I look at a defense and who I want to use there, I always look for the defender in the coverage that the AI plays the worst. Usually that's my first look. And would it be beneficial for me to user that player? Will I make the coverage play that much better? And I guarantee you guys, after looking through this course, you will see that using the safety in the corner in cover two will make the coverage play so much better. All right. So we'll go ahead and run this. Now we can look at this side here and you may say, hey, that fade is going to be a problem in a honey hole shot. Not necessarily. And this is my respect of cover two. All right. Because the cloud flat corner, he wants to reroute this guy and then get to his landmark. All right. Well, there's no one attacking the flat here. All right. So he can continue to kind of sync with this. And then with the pole runner running up the field inside shoulder of the seam, that lessens the pressure of the safety on the strong side. He can actually lean towards the sideline a bit, maybe 60-40. Okay. So this honey hole shot, theoretically, on paper, you may think that it is a vulnerable spot of cover two. All right. But when you draw up a lot of route combinations, you could see that, it's not as big of a weakness as people make it out to be. All right. So we'll go ahead and watch this, and my opponent will make a mistake here. Okay. He should have dropped it underneath to the number two. Pretty much the only one open on this play here. But that's what cover two wants. Cover two wants your opponent to dump it off underneath on a check down or underneath route. And then what we do is we all rally and we make a tackle. All right. So rule number one when I play cover two zone is I turn. I think I'll get into that later. All right. So he's going to make a mistake. All right. So we can look at this. Look how he ran himself almost out of the play. All right. And notice how I'm playing outside the numbers now. All right. If both were going up the seam, I would probably be more like on the numbers. But because the number two declared that he's going inside, all right, now I can just widen and take the upfield shoulder of the number one and almost convert into man-to-man coverage here. Okay. So he's going to throw it to this guy, trying to anticipate him running into this window. All right. But he puts air on the ball, and that's what cover two wants. Cover two wants you to put air on the ball to allow us to drive on the ball, and we get a big hit there. All right, so now we're going to look at a play where my opponent throws an interception. I think the route combination he had here, slot fade, guy runs up the seam, and I think he runs kind of inside. Okay, and again, theoretically, you may think that that honey hole shot should be wide open, but it's just not the case when you draw up what we're supposed to do in cover two, right? So who I like to use there in cover two, it depends, but usually it's the safety on the strong side. All right. Sometimes I'll use it as safety on the weak side. Sometimes I'll use the corner on the weak side, and sometimes I'll use the corner on the strong side. And again, this course will dive into the subtleties of cover two and how you can make it play better based upon the user. All right. So one thing is he's on the hash. So this is the short side of the field. So he's running formation into the boundary. If you don't know what that means, it means he's running his strong putting his passing strength on the short side of the field. Okay, usually you don't want to do that. Okay, but there are maybe reasons why you'd want to in some cases. All right. And as the safety at the snap of the ball, all right, we're reading our unit, and I like to read outside in. So I favor 1, 2 to 3, but I'm still reading the whole unit. And at this point in the route, when number one has declared that he's not going up the field, well, now we're just dealing with 2 and 3. But we can, again, lean a little bit harder to 2 on the fade. And the reason why is because we know we have a pole runner who's going to play inside leverage of the 3 running up the seam. Okay. Cover 2 is all about helping your friends, helping your teammates. Okay, the cloud flat helps the deep half safety by rerouting the number one to the inside. Okay, the hook curl defender helps the safety by forcing the number two to run um, outside of him, not inside. Okay, you want this guy to take an inside release, hook curl defender. All right, we're trying to squeeze and narrow windows, and we're playing in a way where we help the coverage and lessen the pressure of the safeties behind us. All right, but with this guy running inside of the seam route, okay, again, I can lean more towards this fade pattern, narrowing this little honey hole shot. On top of that, with this route combination here, okay, being that there's no one attacking the flat, the cloud flat corner, upon rerouting, he can get depth as I close here. And again, this little honey hole shot that you would think would be an easy throw really isn't an easy throw to make upon looking at how the coverage should play if everyone plays right. All right, he's going to throw an interception. He's going to throw to the slant. And again, it's based upon poor route distribution by my opponent. All right, so we'll take a look at this really quickly. Watch how I play defense. So right now, I'm the strong side safety. Okay, I'm reading the routes of 1, 2, and 3. Okay, right there in the play, when one goes inside, now I can start favoring outside throw. All right, they think, okay, well then he can throw to this guy. Well, he really can't rip it in there because of the backer running up the pole. If he decides to put air on it, all right, this is why we want to maintain depth as a safety. Okay, more air on the ball is good for us, and then we can all thrive on that air throw and make a big hit, tip the ball, hopefully get an interception. All right, so we'll go ahead and run it. Okay, and I can't tell you how many times guys will make a bonehead interception while playing cover two. I think you will develop a love for cover two that I've come to develop over the past couple of months. All right. So I'm like, you know what? Let me go into a random playbook and let me get into some plays that I would call in a random playbook if I knew my opponent was in cover two. Okay. So I'm looking at some of these route concepts and I'm like, okay, here we go. All right. This is a random playbook, Denver. This would be a play I would call if I knew you were in cover two. I never ran this play before, but again, get the triangle read here, running a scissors type concept, but I like how the corner is running in between the safety corner, right? Hence, we be able to get this little honey hole shot. And if the corner gets too much depth, then we could just dump it off into the right. Okay, so the point of me, I'm going to show you 4 plays. I'm going to show you why, upon me looking at even running structured routes to attack cover two, how cover two is actually a very solid coverage, even against stuff that theoretically should give it issues, right? And then I'm going to show you why using a certain player in the coverage can make it play so much better. Here's the play, ran it, okay? And at this point in the route, okay, I had to run this like 4 times because I kept getting sacked. Okay, so that's another key component of cover two. If you can get a really good pass rush, it makes it even that much more effective. Okay, so I finally got a play to where I can actually, I have a decent pocket. So I'm looking on this corner route, and it's a little bit murky because if this guy continues to climb with the safety over the top, that's a tight window to fit it in, right? And you may think, okay, well then we got the post here, but the pole runner is turning his hips to the passing strength. and that could be an issue as well, right? So this is where during this play, I didn't like the throw. I didn't like how both of them, um, the post didn't run over the corner and the corner didn't run under the post. They're kind of running at the same depth. It kind of ruins the spacing of the play. I didn't like how this was developing, and then with the corner kind of climbing there and the safety playing outside the numbers, I decided, look, I'm just going to dump it off into the flat. And you may think, okay, we're going to get a lot of yards here, and we only got 3 yards. Okay, and this is what cover two wants. We want it to where dump it off, and this is why we turn into aggressive tackling and strip ball. You want to put both of those adjustments on before every game if you're going to play a cover two style. The reason why is because we want them to dump it off, want them to have to take a lot of plays to get up the field. Upon dumping it off, look at how many players we're going to have rallying to make a tackle. Okay, just the essence of cover two. So the reason why I'm not concerned if this guy is going to try to knock the ball out and he misses the tackle and this guy breaks the tackle is because he's not going to get a house call if he breaks a tackle. Okay, because we have a lot of people rallying to the football, and that's one of the benefits of turning that adjustment into aggressive tackling and strip ball. We're trying to get turnovers. We're trying to knock the ball out because we can afford to do that with so many players in the back end coming to uh, attack the ball carrier. All right. So those are the adjustments that I make while I play cover two. Let's move on to another play I was looking for. All right, PA jet sweep. And again, you can see my thinking here. We're running the same type of concept. Right? We're running a route concept to where we are trying to put pressure on the cloud flat corner. I ran this play like 5 times where I could finally, make a throw. The pass rush in the practice mode is pretty bad. If you want to, run some concepts, they just get in fairly well. So again, you get a nice pass rush while running cover two. You're going to be in a very hard defense to run concepts against. All right. So here I like the corner. So I make the throw, and look at how perfect you have to make that throw in that situation, right? Here's a replay. I want you to keep these plays in mind. How we're going to make this play so much better with who we use her in cover two. All right, so here's another play where I thought, this should theoretically be a good play because we're going to get a clear out route, runs underneath, and side run. What I was thinking was the mid read player is going to be pulled out of there, the pole runner running up the field with this, okay? And then we can exploit and throw into this window. All right, so I go ahead and run the play. All right, and it looks like, okay, it looks like it's coming to plan. You have this window here. He's running with that clear out route. You just fit it once he bypasses ball two player. And look at how tight this window is, okay? And, I didn't think about it while running this play, but I should have dumped it off to our underneath little spot pattern here. All right. But again, that's what cover two wants. We're playing in a way to where you gotta dump it off and then we rally and make a tackle. But players online, they get tired of having a dink and dunk all game. All right. So they will take these types of shots. And think about if I threw that ball a little bit too early, a little bit too late, a little bit inaccurate. All right. That's a potential interception. And what I wasn't thinking of on this play is because we had a bunch type formation here, the wall two player on the weak side, once the number one declares he's going up the field, the cloud flat is under that, deep half is over the top, way too deep. That is just way too deep. Okay. But the wall two player doesn't have to favor the curl on the weak side, right? With only one threat running up the field, So he can squeeze further this way, which narrows this little window here, right? Something that I didn't think about until I ran this play in the practice field. It's just so tight of a window. Okay. And that's the thing with cover two. I mean, great quarterbacks with great arms and good route concepts by the opposing offense can be an issue, but you're not playing against John Elway. You're not playing against Tom Brady or Peyton. You're playing against Bob from Wyoming online, playing Madden. Okay. They're not, just a little bit of indecisiveness while throwing against cover two can spell big interceptions for you. All right. Here's another concept that I ran. Just looking at the play, I thought, okay, hey, this guy can take care of the pole runner there. All right. And then now we are stretching this cloud flat corner, putting a high low on him, and then the safety over the top. We might be able to fit this ball here. What I was thinking. Right. And the play. And okay, I threw it just in time. And again, look at how narrow that window is for a honey hole shot. Right. But we can throw it. Okay. So now I'm going to get to the point of this video, first video in the course of cover two. On all of these plays that I showed you, where did we try to exploit the defense? A honey hole shot. I have in the corner over the top and someone in the flat, right? And if we were able to make that throw, it was a very tight throw. Okay. Well, what if we use safety? In all of those plays where we were able to fit a ball on the corner on where we were trying to go. Okay. Remember the one play where the AI was a safety in the end zone? Okay. Way too far down the field with what was going on underneath. Okay. Well, again, we can play coverage better if the honey hole shot was very tight with AI playing the computer. Think how harder of a throw it will be with you as the safety, right? So the point of this course, I'm going to go over your reads as the corner and the safety while playing cover two, and then some of the different things you can do in cover two. All right. So I don't remember what I have here. Here's the other play. Where were we trying to attack with this play? Again, the corner. And then if we didn't like it, we dumped it off into the flat. Well, guess what? We're going to start using the safety in the corner in cover two. Now go over the reads to where we play so much better on all of these concepts that are trying to attack the supposed vulnerability of cover two. Here's another play. You may think, okay, well, what are we going to do with as a safety in this play? All right. Well, as a safety, we're reading our unit. All right. So I'll draw up the route combination, I believe, in under. He comes in. All right. So as a safety, we're widening and getting depth. And at this point in the route here, okay, out here, all right, we can now lean in playing almost man-to-man coverage on this outside number one route. Reason why is because he's going into the teeth of the defense with the pole runner, so we don't have to worry about that. We have a deep half safety on this side. Okay, he's X'd himself out from attacking up the field, so our underneath coverage should be on top of that. So there's no reason for us at this point in routes to be continue to climb and play over the top the way the computer would be. We could actually convert into man-to-man coverage almost at this point in the route and drive on the throw if we want, or play over the top and squeeze and narrow the window even further. Okay, on this play. Post, fade over here. Okay. So at this point in the route, here, and he would be about here. Okay. Again, because we have this pole runner. Flat. All right. We can now lean to this fade pattern here by the number 2. All right. Again, we're playing in a way to where we know how the defense, where everyone is going to be. So here's an example. So I'm going to show you some clips in game of me playing cover 2 as the safety or the corner. That's what this course is all about. All right. So now I'm just going to give you some examples, and then I'll make other videos on the subtleties of cover 2 and how to make it play better. All right. He's going to run the China concept here. All right. And I believe in this game, I was running cover 2 almost exclusively. Mixing and matching, playing from a single high shell and then rotating in the cover 2. So he just had the idea, okay, he's just going to run cover 2. Let me run this concept here because now this play is good against cover 2. That's what a lot of people think. All right. But again, I want you to watch what happens on this play. I'm reading the unit on the outside. Okay, at this point in the route, literally like within 1 second, both of them have declared they're not going up the field. So there's no point in me continuing to widen towards the sideline. I can now look at number 3 and almost convert into man coverage. When he runs this corner, we can almost drive on the throw or play very aggressively on the upfield shoulder, right? So he did not want to throw. Look at how I'm sitting flat on because I'm reading the number 3. I'm not even worried about 1 or 2 anymore. I'm almost in man-to-man coverage here. I could tell that he wanted to throw it, thinking that that's where you go on cover 2. But look at this window. It's just not there. It is just not there. All right. So this is where he dumps it off underneath, and that's what we want with cover 2. Another play, I don't remember what happened. Okay. But I know at this point in the play. Okay. So I guess here I'm showing you concepts that are this is the smash concept. You run this against cover 2 because theoretically it's pretty good against cover 2, right? But that's against an AI safety. Now we are going to play safety, and we're going to play it so much better, right? So I'm reading outside in. 1 has declared that he's not running up the field. So now we can play man-to-man coverage on the number. Watch how I play this. I'm not just drifting off into space. Now I'm playing flat line, trying to attack upfield shoulder and almost try to drive on a throw to the corner. I could tell my opponent wanted to throw there, right? But now, the cloud flat corner and me are making this window extremely tight. All right, so it's 4th down. He dumps it underneath. That's what we want. And right here, if we were able to keep him underneath that red line, we would have gotten off the field. But he got lucky, spun around for a 1st down. So in this course, I'm going to get into the many different things you can do, guys. All right, here I'm going to run a blitz on the boundary side. All right, and we're playing spot drop behind it, and my opponent's going to throw an interception. I want you to watch how I read the routes. I'm reading 1 and 2. Look at, because I'm running this blitz, now I can change the depth at where I start pre-snap because I know we're going to run pressure, right? So I can be a little bit more aggressive in my position as opposed to the other safety here. All right, so I'm reading 1 and 2. Okay, the second the number 2 runs a post, all right, well, we have a pole runner and then we have a weak side hook wall 2 player against this I formation. So now I can almost lean towards the number 1, which is what I do. Okay, and look at this window. He knew I was playing cover 2. I was running it all game. I think this game I was running a whole bunch of blitz packages as well. Yeah, this was a game where I was running different blitzes with cover 2, fooling around with it. Okay. So he was thinking, okay, this corner shot here. Look at the pressure we got. Now he's getting rid of the ball before he wants to. But this is a very tight window. All right. Very tight window. And we get a pick. So that is the video, guys. Again, this course, I'm going to get into how you can make cover two play so much better. This is the penny three high plays. Look, I mean, look at the different things we can do as the safety. All right, you got to stop usering that middle read player and the hook curl defenders. I user the either the corners or the safeties in cover two. All right. And depending on maybe down in distance, where the ball is, where the passing strength is, formation, okay, that will decide on who I user between these four players. All right. My reads while playing weak side safety is a little bit different than strong side safety. Okay. But that's the whole point of this course, to dive into more technical things of cover two and how we can be aggressive and play the coverage so much better. All right. So, I'll leave it at that. I hope you got something from this video, and I hope you start throwing in some cover two, because the plan is to master this coverage in a way that many people may not have thought of before. I hope you got something from this video, and I hope you keep coming back for more, man.